I'm Michael Reese.
And I'm Woods Davis.
And this is the Digital President Podcast.
We've cracked the code for generating customers online for every business model.
In fact, we wrote the book on it.
We've built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in as little as 90 days. And the one truth that we discovered is
the best business model is doing what you love and living your life by strategy.
You truly can follow your passion and create the life of your dreams,
as long as you have the right strategy.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Digital President Podcast. Today we're coming to you with a hot topic. This is going to be specifically for our community of EXP realty agents, and really we're going to be uncovering the what we would call is the gap. And I want to first of all, I want everyone to know the goal of this is to give you some awareness so that when you find yourself in this said situation of trying to manage production and attraction, you can kind of find out for yourself what are the necessary steps. So let's dive right in. How you doing there, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. This is definitely an important topic that we're talking about today. I think, I found myself in the gap. I've been in this spot. I think everybody that is part of EXP or anybody who's really building any business finds themselves in that spot where they're trying to shift out of, personal production into kind of building more of a team, building an organization, building a real company, building a real business. So, there's a lot of principles and things I'm hoping that we can unpack and uncover that I know added value to me. And I know a lot of people have the same questions that I had and are on the same journey. So I'm excited to chat today.
Well, I think the first thing is, for those of you that don't know, we recently did a boot camp. And we did a boot camp here in Puerto Rico at El Conquistador, and we had some of the top agents. And I think one of the reasons we chose this topic is because, we had an assortment of agents that were in production and agents who were not in production. And, one of the things that I can tell you is, and we've said this time and time again, one of my biggest takeaways on preparing for that boot camp was that it's hard to attract agents when you're chasing business. And that doesn't mean that you're in production, that you're not in production and being in production is bad, because everybody wants to be in production. Everybody wants to sell more homes. I think that's one of the big myths. The question is like, what is that ascension plan? Like, at what point are you okay with changing your identity, right? So when you're in a real estate team, your identity is, when you're on a team, your identity is, hey, I'm responsible for getting my leads, following up with my leads. My responsibility is I do this, the team leader does this, right? And when you're a solo agent, it's really, you're doing everything. But at the end of the day, everything means you're the one that's putting the sign out, meet with the customer, all of the things that go into, revenue generating activities. You're creating the sale, servicing the sale, making the calls, all that sort of thing. When I say attract, one of the things that I think is really important, and we cover this on the webinar where we actually talk about in attraction and in production, there's a chase model and attract model. And so at the beginning, when I say it's hard to attract agents if you're chasing business, the reason why is because chasing business is a little bit less predictable. What it does is, I have a text message from a really good friend, and they're in a situation where they got sucked back into their business. Running the business and the production side of things is limiting their ability to go and focus on, adding value to their agent network, their team of partners. And so one of the things that I think that you got to do is you have to begin with the end in mind. And so what I would do is I'd be setting up my business where I could vector all of those sorts of things. So for instance, a vector is where you're going to align, where you're going to create a strategy that aligns to what it is that you're trying to do. So an example would be YouTube. A lot of agents right now, we covered this at the boot camp. And in fact, I'll put a link down to a webinar that walks you through the chase framework and the attraction framework. Actually, it's 3 different frameworks. It also goes over the workshop live event framework. And I'll put a link to a webinar where we kind of uncover and walk through each of the 7 steps of those frameworks. But most people are chasing business. And what that means is that when they get on the phone with somebody to talk to them about an opportunity, more than likely that person did not call them, right? Meaning they reached out to that person. That person wasn't reaching out to them to find out more or learn more about what they do to help buyers and sellers, or what they do to partner with agents. And I just so happened to have a guy who came out to Puerto Rico and stayed a few days, and he's been doing really good at YouTube. And constantly, he one of the things that I note is like he's doing exactly what I'm doing. He's working by appointment, right? And when you work by appointment, and he's working by appointment with both buyers and sellers, right? And I've met a lot of agents out there that have moved to this model of working by appointment. But how do you work by appointment? How do you get somebody to set up an appointment in your calendar to meet with you, to talk to you about buying or selling a home, right? Well, that means you have a completely different strategy. You have put the necessary steps in place in order to attract those people, specifically, i.e., you've communicated to the marketplace. I would say that YouTube is probably more like a referral machine, because, when you get a referral knows who you are. They know what makes you different. Typically, if they've been given to you in the right format, they're pretty pre-sold on you and they're ready to talk, right? And that would be what I would consider as a great referral. They're expecting a call from you, or they've been given your number and they've been instructed to call you. They're calling, those sorts of things. On YouTube, when you're doing agent attraction, or when you're doing attraction for your business, really what we're saying with attraction is we're saying that you're leveraging content marketing, right? And when I say vector, if it were me, if I was stuck in production, I'd be trying to build a base, a foundation, an organizational structure that would allow me to leverage that machine to point it at whichever opportunity that I wanted to point it at it. So whether that meant, I wanted to perfect my skills online, from recording videos, editing videos, publishing videos, writing copy, those sorts of things that are principally based in applications that you have to be able to do, keyword research, SEO, mailing your video to your database, those sorts of things, those sorts of skills. The only difference in the video is the message and the audience, right? And so when you're working on building your internal structure to be what I would say is more of let's just face it, it's more of a digital agency mindset than when you look at the traditional business model, where it's like hire buyer agents, I do all the marketing, I buy leads, I buy more leads, I find something else someone else is doing that works, and I buy that too. You don't really know why those things work. And what happens is, you either find yourself in a situation like one of our good buddies Blake did, where it's like, man, you're spending so much on Zillow and they're really dictating what markets you can go after and what markets you can't based upon the supply. And so I think one of the things that you have to do in order to be an attractor for your business so that you can attract agents in the future is you have to at least start applying those attraction methods to your traditional real estate business so you can start building the muscle, right? You want to start building that muscle. And as you expand, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to leverage those resources that you built. So you're kind of doing this and that at the same time, right? So as you're building your real estate production on a model that's going to serve you, which is going to allow you to work by appointments, which is going to allow you to be more structured with your time, which is going to allow you to work with more highly qualified leads, specific, i.e., if you're an example, if you're doing YouTube, which is what we would endorse, then you're able to leverage those videos and they're able to serve you long time. So every year you've produced more assets. Those assets, I know Jimmy, the guy who was shooting video for Woods and I, he got an appointment scheduled at like 2:55 in the morning. Where was Jimmy? He wasn't up. He was asleep, but that doesn't mean someone's not on the West Coast or the East Coast or in another continent looking to move to Dallas, Texas. And so, understanding that, so that when you do start to switch over and you start to focus more on the agent attraction side of the business, you're able to scale what you've already built, meaning you're able to, instead of have 3 thumbnails or 4 videos edited, now you're having 8, right? And so you're able to keep those resources, you're able to invest in that talent, and you're doing it by really changing your mindset, because when you do attract business, it's way more efficient to convert. All of the things that you're spending money on start to work better, because obviously if you're spending money on leads, doing more of a direct response type lead generation strategy? Well, when you add the attraction piece, you can create those videos, you can put them on your YouTube channel, you can email them out to your unconverted leads. And so those things allow you to be more efficient, get a higher return, increase conversion, have more money to spend on people to help you get more leverage. And so for me, if I take a step back, I would say, production versus attraction, I think is really the organizational structure and the decision in which you're going to build your business. Are you going to build your business in a way where you're going to actually build and acquire or develop or perfect a skill that's going to allow you to use it in both? If so, then I think that's going to be a better strategy, because again, like I said, when you're working on one of them, you're actually working on the other. If you're going to do chase, if you're going to go out there and chase business, then what's going to happen is every time you're not out there chasing, every time you're not knocking on a door, every time you're not cold calling, if you don't have no predictability, if you don't have any campaigns, if you have no predictability in your conversion, and your conversion all happens as a result of you, then you become the cog in the wheel. You become the bottleneck in the goal, meaning it's kind of every time you start to work on your attraction, your production business drops, and vice versa. And the cool thing about it is when you do this, you can teach it to the people that you attract, right? And all you're really doing is teaching them a longer term marketing discipline that's going to serve them in their career better, because they're going to be more efficient, and they're going to have over time, they're going to get a competitive advantage that allows them, like Jimmy or like a handful of our other buddies that have partners that have done this. You're going to get to the point where you're going to need a team. And when you need a team, it's because you can't handle the production. And so now you have to get people on your team to handle the production. And the probability of you having a successful person on your team, if you're handing them a YouTube lead, is way likely higher than if you're relying on the person on your team to acquire the skills and have the discipline to sit on the phone every single day. Your goal isn't to hire someone on your team to be on the phone. Your goal is to hire someone on your team to be with clients, helping them, serving them at the highest level. And the reason why they're not doing that is because you haven't attracted any business for them. So you, in a sense, essentially created an opportunity if they're willing to chase. And I think making an arbitrage between what you're doing lead generation wise and what they're doing it's really setting yourself up for failure, because over time they're going to learn that they're doing most of the work, and they're going to learn other lead sources where that arbitrage of what they're paying you is going to come up to the point where they essentially decide to leave your team. And I think that's a problem. And so if you want to solve that all up front, start building a business where you start attracting business and not chasing it.
I think what's interesting, first of all, you brought up amazing points. And I think that, like, if I'm sitting here trying to boil this down, I think what can happen is you got to decide whether you're going to be in the freedom business or the captivity business. And there's kind of two fundamental models for building a business. There's the chasing model, and then there's the attraction model. And if you use the chase model in your real estate business, it's really hard to get out of that chasing and get over to another business or have any time, because the more you chase, the more captive you get in the business. It requires time. You have no leverage, right? And so I think the moral of the story, my takeaway from this is that you have to really start with shifting your mindset and shifting your belief system, and then shifting your resources in your actual company, which is your production in your real estate business, over to an attraction model, in order to get the freedom to be able to focus your time on agent attraction. And as you do that, you acquire the skills and you build the resources to be able to attract agents and be able to point those same resources. We call it like the yes gun, right? When you build a digital agency, when you build those same resources to be able to create content, to be able to publish YouTube videos, to be able to do that. Like, well, today, right now, we're sitting here recording this podcast, and this podcast can be published on 3 channels. We're going to publish one piece of content here, specifically for one audience, which is our fellow EXP agents, people that are in our community. But then there's principles that are going to come out and be communicated that also go to the broader audience of real estate agents in general. And those can be chopped up into clips and pointed at that audience. There's going to be this is going to be content that's going to be chopped up and posted on another channel that's specifically for EXP agents or agents who want to do agent attraction. So, I think that that's kind of like the same thing is when you shift over into focusing just on attraction and starting in the production side of the business, you get to start acquiring those skills and acquiring those resources in order to be able to just change the topic, change the content. You've already got the foundation in place in order to be able to execute that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to point out, just staying on this theme is that I want to talk to you about the reasons why people don't have an attractive traction business, which is probably not attractive at the same time. And the reason why is because to do attraction, you actually have to think, right? Like it's one thing to go out and buy XYZ platform that's going to give you leads with an autoresponder. You've heard of them all. Tiger Leads, Commission Z. I think someone mentioned Bold Leads. All those things are great, right? You go out there, you buy these little tools. What do you want? Leads, because that's what you've been trained. But the problem, and the reason why is because in order to do attraction, it actually takes effort. Meaning, but again, think about it. On YouTube, does it cost you to post a video? No, it doesn't cost you a dime to post a video. Do people go to YouTube? Yes, it's the second largest search engine in the world. And the truth be told, on from a consumer's basis, I've seen, if you look at, for instance, Facebook. If we run an ad on Facebook, I would say that 80% of the ads are going to be consumed on a mobile device, right? And the reason why is because people are sitting there being interrupted, which by default gets you a lot of people that are getting their oil change that end up into your sales process that aren't really opportunities. If you look at YouTube, 43, this is a specific channel over time, 43% of the people were on mobile. What that meant was 57% of the people were either on a TV or a desktop. Those are research devices, right? Those are research devices. That means that those people were doing research. They were on their computer looking looking for things, doing research. And so what you have to do in order to be in the attraction business is you actually have to go out and start to think of what are the things they're researching for, so that when they go out and research those things, you show up. Right. And so what I can tell you is I don't care who you are or what market you're in right now. In your market, somebody has already got a head start on you. They've already started this process and you watch them over time. Now, the good news is it's already been proven you can catch them. You can become number one. There's many, many different strategies. But however, every day that goes by that you don't start, it's going to be harder. And they are going to build a business. More importantly, they're going to have a lifestyle. Because when everybody's slaving up there up at the office or slaving over the phone or, unsure where their next deal is going to come from, they're going to have steady deal flow every single week that goes by. They're going to lay another perfect brick, being a metaphor for video. And they're going to eventually have so many bricks that they're going to have a beautiful wall. And for them, with that metaphor, those things are going to serve a purpose over time. They're going to be like, if I told Woods this when I was like, man, if you think of like a video like a Lego and, you need so many Legos in order to like create this like thing, well, for every video, I had a buddy of mine, his first year on YouTube, if he divided the revenue that he made from YouTube based upon the amount of videos that he had shot. And his first year, it was $7,000 on average is what he made per video. Now that numbers went up. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was probably closer to 10 or 11,000. It was significantly higher. Let's just say that. And that's the point, is that all of that, everything he did his first year is going to now help him in his second year. Everything year 3 is going to be, that's why they say like people who have, when you have money, it's easier to make money. It's easier to make money. Right. And an example would be, I bought a lot. I closed on it last Wednesday. I paid $968,000 for the lot. Literally within an hour after closing, I was offered $300,000 more than I paid for the lot. Well, if I didn't buy the lot, I wouldn't have made that money. But because I had the money to invest and I wanted to invest in this particular lot, I had an opportunity because, hey, I over years saved my money and put myself in a position where I could do that, right? Where I could make that investment, and a lot of people just trying to save their first 300,000 would think, this is going to take me 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, right? And so when I've looked at money, this is when I was a kid growing up, I always said the first 25,000 is the hardest to save. I mean, once you've saved 100,000 or 200,000, getting that 200,000 to work for you. And let's just say you say 200,000 and you hypothetically put it in Chipotle. You invested in Chipotle, or you invested in some mutual fund, and then it earns 10%, right? Well, 10% is 20,000. So now you only, what used to take you all year to save a $25,000, now your money brings 20 to the table and you only got to save 5 to keep that pace going, right? And then next thing you know, it's not 25,000, it's 100,000. Videos are like that. They grow over time. The more what it takes to get one client, before you know it, you're going to have hundreds of videos out there providing value to the marketplace, and people don't consume linearly. You're going to get what I would call secondary impacts, because YouTube is owned by the number one search engine, which is Google. When you're posting videos, you're going to get Google placement for those videos, right? And like Woods talked about earlier, you can also take those videos and publish them other places, chop them up. This is a podcast, so it'll hit Spotify, it'll hit iTunes and things to that nature. So again, but what are we talking about? We're talking to a very specific audience. Why? Because we just did an amazing event with people. And the number one thing that I walked away with was that the people who are producing at the highest level are treating attraction like a business. Well, what's that mean? Well, attraction like a business mean that they have people on their team that are dedicated to the activities of attraction. Well, what is attraction? Attraction is not chasing. We've already defined that. That means that's not that they have people over there that are calling people that don't know them. That means they're out there producing and helping build this wall. And they're helping them in many different capacities. But what we're trying to do is just bring awareness, because all great things start with a thought, right? Like all change starts with a Well, that might be a good idea. We can't change your business, but we can sure definitely change the way you're thinking about it, and maybe, give you some awareness around maybe some of the challenges. But imagine if you were producing videos, and imagine that, every single week you had qualified deals of people who needed to do business now. And because those people worked by appointment, imagine the amount of time that you would have to then now go focus on attraction, which would probably be just sharing the things that you're doing to get business. That's, you don't have to go teach them chase. You're just going to teach them what you're already doing. And since you spent the last year learning about it, then you're going to know a lot about what you learned. And what's that mean? There's probably a lot of other agents that are going to want to learn what you've learned. So now you have natural, organic, authentic, real content that you can put out there in the marketplace to help agents. And what happens when you do that? Well, maybe they're going to come to you, and if you've understood marketing, if you've given them the right things, meaning if you provided value in advance, if you've given them a call to action, a way and a reason to why they should reach out to you, then they'll probably reach out to you. And if that happens to be through Zoom by appointment, then you'll probably end up with appointments in your calendar. Now look at where you're at. Now you're blocking out your calendar like I do. And today I have a huge person I'm meeting with in San Juan, a huge broker that flew out here. And, that's by appointment. That's my afternoon today at 1:00. I have lunch with them, right? That's working by appointment. What a better way to work, right? Than waking up this morning and not knowing what you're going to do. I don't know who I'm going to sell a house to this week. I don't know who I'm going to talk to. I don't know. Let me see if I can, muster it up the fortitude to come up with some way. Let me go get my running shoes on. Let me see if I can chase someone down. It's like hide and go seek. Who can I find? If there's a better way to build your business, which I'm here to say on this episode, there is a better way, and it's called attraction. And it's not agent attraction, it's attraction. Whatever, you can attract anything. How do you attract people is by understanding the framework, understanding what governs the law of marketing, right? You can go do videos, but you can leave out your call to action. You could leave out you could have a bad headline. You could pick a bad topic. You could have a terrible thumbnail and no one will consume it. But again, once you learn those things and skills can be learned, what's that worth? Well, I don't know. One video could be worth $1 million. One video could be worth $1 million. I think it's worth the effort of investing your time into really thinking about your business going forward. Because what you don't want to do is look up 3 years from now and say, "Man, I wish I would have started doing this. It really, really works. This is amazing. I just wish I would have started 3 years ago." Because that's what you're going to say if you ever take the time to actually do what it is that we're telling you. And what we're telling you is go watch the webinar. That's what we're telling you. There's a link in the description. We walk you through the frameworks. And if you want to attract more business, if you want to learn about the agent attraction funnel and what we're doing to work by appointment, to have appointments fall into our calendar on demand when we want, on our terms, with the people who are predisposed and understand what the opportunity is, and get on the phone with a bunch of questions, and make sure you go down to the description below and check out the webinar. That's all I got for him today, Woods Davis.
Yeah, well, I think I'll just end on one thing. I'll just share one story, I think when people start thinking about this and start thinking about, okay, well, I got to start producing content. Maybe I got to start shooting YouTube videos. What do I have to say? How can I add value to other people? Are people really going to listen to me? Are people going to pay attention to me? And one thing that I can just share as maybe just a word of encouragement is that there's enough people like you that are in the marketplace, who are looking for solutions to their problems, who are trying to achieve something that you've already achieved, whether that's helping somebody buy a home or whether that's helping another agent get to the next level in their business. Even if that next level for a real estate agent might just be getting their real estate license. We have an agent who's a partner of ours in Canada who specifically focuses on helping real estate agents pass their real estate exam and helps give them shortcuts to and advice on becoming a new real estate agent, on going through the school in order to get licensed, filling out simple forms, things that maybe we take for granted, like how to fill out a contract, how to use specific forms from the MLS online. All those things are extremely valuable. And that particular agent has built up a pretty significant following and recruits agents, basically attracts agents and brings new people on every single month because he simply adds value. So whoever you are, whatever stage of the business you're at, whatever your backstory is, maybe you're a single mom who's crushing it in real estate or working hard, and people are going to resonate with that story. Maybe you are, maybe you speak Spanish and you really focus on that. People are going to resonate with that. So again, regardless of where you're at in your business, you can help other people because there's always somebody who's below you trying to get to where you are. And then also too, regardless of your background, regardless of whatever maybe your perceived challenges or disadvantages may be, sometimes those things can actually be your strengths because there's other people like you, just like you out in the world. There's people that look like you. There's people that are your same age. There's people that have your same background, that have your same story, that when you share your story with other people, it's going to resonate with them. And it's going to help them move forward as long as you're trying to help them and add value and coming from a place of love and abundance. That's what really attracts people. So definitely, and we teach all of this stuff and kind of lay all of this stuff out. There is a framework to doing it. There is an organized process to organize all of these kind of core elements of attraction and then put them to use specifically on the internet, on social media platforms, to be able to actually get appointments dropping in your calendar. So definitely check out that webinar. Like Michael said, we'll drop a link in the description. I believe it's agentattractionwebinar.com. But again, we'll drop the link in the description. So thanks, Michael, for jumping on today and sharing this. I mean, I think that, man, I hope we've inspired some people to attract and not chase. And man, it's definitely the only thing that's going to get you freedom in your business and your life and be able to get that life by strategy.
Absolutely. Best life to live is a life by strategy. You can attract agents if you're chasing business. Get after it.